and that we all know how third stringer did for the Canucks this year, so they were quite happy with that, and I got to wear a hat doing it, and I was happy. Thank you.
There was more than just one,
More than one hat in the room.
cowboy hat there. Thank you very much for attending on all of those on my behalf. So thank you very much. Councillor Mullick?
Alrighty, back to April 30th, because I didn't attend the last one because we were in NCLGA. April 30th, Entertainment Society meeting. Also on the 30th, I attended by Zoom the EMCR overview of the whole provincial process for emergencies. And on May 13th to 16th, the NCLGA AGM in Smithers with Councillor Pearson. He's covered most of it, but I'm going to add my highlights to it. I had a tour of the Letsinqua Community Forest, and it's a partnership with the town of Smithers, Village of Telqua, and the office of Wet'suwet'en, and that was really interesting. You know, it's just the collaboration that's going on there and just the principles that are being employed, you know, in how they're managing the forest there was really, really interesting and very encouraging to hear. Quite enjoyed that day. Lots of, the group that attended that was very interested in it, so a lot of really good conversation ensued and a lot of support. Also, I guess the highlight for me was the Northern Health meeting, because I found that yeah, we covered all the concerns, the challenges, you know, what's working and what we need to collaborate on. And I felt that the conversation was very two-way, like it was a really good open conversation about a lot of things. They were very up to, you know, obviously they're very up to speed on things, so they were very interested in what we had to say and how we were dealing with things, you know, and how we can work together to deal with things, you know, what ideas that can be employed to make things better for everybody. You know, and like Councillor Pearson was saying, the distances and all that, what can we do to circumvent the need to have to do that all the time, you know, and so that was a really, it went over our time period, I think, so that was good. I guess for me, the opportunity to discuss, you know, challenges and solutions and innovation that's being done in the north, because so many of the challenges that all of these communities with the forestry, with, you know, with the hardships that are being felt are similar all the way up and down Highway 16 and 37 and up to Fort Nelson. You know, it's all the same, and how differently some of the challenges are being dealt with, you know, was what I thought was quite interesting. But it was also very, I guess for me, this being the second one that I went to, it was better because you're knowing people a little bit better, and you're being able to understand, and also knowing where you're from. They listen to you know, your advice maybe a little more because they know you. So that was really, it was good conversations all throughout the week that I thought was very, very beneficial. The panel sessions that I went to were labor market attraction and retention, and you know, that's something that everyone is dealing with, finding employees. How do you get them to come to your communities? How do you keep them? You know, and how can you provide services that they need, you know, to keep them? So that was very good. Emergency disaster management, the panel discussion, you know, in keeping with what's going on. Fortunately, we're getting all this precipitation now. So, but prior to that, while we were there, you know, Fort Nelson was in the process of being evacuated, and so, you know, that was uppermost on every delegate's mind, I'm sure. So that was really interesting. The keynote speakers, as Councillor Pearson suggests, they were all excellent. Like, you know, it was just, I think they held everybody spellbound with just the various directions that they had gone. You know, the indigenous component, from one side to another fellow that had rode around the world, and just, the challenges and the mental, all of these things were quite good. And then, of course, were the resolutions, which I did manage to get there early and get to see ours go through, and others, so some good ones. On May 19th, I attended the Releasing the Salmon, George Hicks, with many others. I was astounded to see the turnout, and I think the thing that really struck home to me was how many kids that were there and how engaged everybody was. And I thought, oh, this is something we have to hold on to and encourage. So that was an excellent day. On May 28th, I had another tourism committee meeting, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Can I ask you just to throw that into a nice summary email?
I will.
Send that off to Ms. Shepherd, please.
I will.
Thank you.
Didn't get all that?
It's all there, but
Yes.
just in case I
Yes.
missed something.
Yep.
Thank you. May 15th, following the adoption of the 5-year finance bylaw, I signed those said bylaws, and they made them to Victoria on time. And then followed that up with an Upper Columbia operations update from BC Hydro. On the 17th, I had a provincial hazard update with the 4 ministers responsible. May 18th, had a really cool time at the Celebration of Tourism. Moderated a panel on tourism sustainability and sustainability practices. The 19th, joined an impressive amount of people at the salmon fry release. What got me was I didn't know 70% of the people. There's a lot of folks that did not call Valemount home, and they were there for that specific reason. It was it's an attraction, and not only is it both conserving and repopulating a damaged species, boy, it gets people. And the partnership between Tourism Valemount and Spruce City that's something we need to foster and nurture. The 21st, had a regional district agenda review with Councillor and Alternate Director Blanchette. Went over a 625-page agenda. And then she attended on my behalf. The 22nd, with Councillor Pearson, joined virtually the Southeast BC Regional Connectivity Committee. The reporting out from that, the Tanaha First Nation, in partnership with FlexiNet, is almost filling in all the holes that were left behind by the Columbia Basin Broadband application to the Universal Broadband Fund. So these little niche little neighborhoods, so they'll capture about 2,500 homes that we couldn't in our application. It's a nice little filler. Good on that organization. And then the 24th and 25th, I was in Golden for the CBT executive and board sessions. And then finally, the joint letter, Councillor Pearson.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to mention that. It wasn't on my report, so I kind of glossed over it. So as I mentioned earlier in discussions with councillors from McBride and Mackenzie, our concerns on what's happening with School District 57 and their budget discussions, trying to find a $2 million shortfall, was really going to hit home to our rural communities. So we kind of jointly drafted a letter to be sent to the superintendent and trustees of School District 57 with CCs to MLA Bond, MLA Morris, and Minister of Education and Child Care, Rakna Singh, basically saying, have a look at what you're doing to rural communities, education opportunities, and the discussion of pulling a counselor out of our local schools. So, yeah, I would move that we send a letter off on behalf of all three. I see the Council of Mackenzie's already sent one, so whether we do it individually as a village, I guess that's our choice.
Seconder, Councillor Mullock. Discussion? Maybe reach out to Mayor Atkinson.
Yeah. I have a copy of their letter as well.
Thank you. And Mayor Runts as well, though, so they're have a council meeting tonight, if this is before them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mullock?
Yeah, and I, just to add to that, I think the fact that we were having a council meeting so much later than they were, they really felt that it was necessary to get this letter out while it's happening soon, as soon as possible. I think that's why they ended up sending their own after having that discussion at all three, which, yeah, totally understandable, but yeah, definitely worth supporting because this is very serious.
The budget implications will not be solved by Prince George. Will not be solved by School District 50. He's going to have to something from somewhere in order to bring rural schools up to a fairness level urban schools enjoy.
Yep.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried.
Thank you.
Welcome. Calendar of events is before you for May and June for your review. And now we have time for public comment under 14.1 on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. Are there any public comments this evening? You know the rules, Junior.
I think should know them by now, eh? Good evening to council and everybody that's here. I want to talk about the Dogwood and the Ash Street, what was on the agenda there tonight. So we live on the north end of Dogwood there, which is pretty dusty most of the time. And, just like Alderman Dinelda said there, that it's very comparable to Kindabasket Lake. Anytime you want to drive down there, it's not very nice. And like the gardens and stuff like that, I always talk to Frank there. Frank is always concerned about his garden because he's a diehard. But, yeah. So most of the time, Colleen doesn't even open the windows because, everything just gets covered in there. We got air conditioning, so we're okay. But, yeah. And whatever calcium is put down, it doesn't last very long. Like 2022, we had dust control. That was between Dogwood and the alleys, was $8,500. 2023, there was no dust control on Dogwood. So I don't know if it's in the budget for 2024.
I'd have to confirm.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, and another thought, I was thinking, is there any chance you guys could think about seal coating? Like, weigh the options and, look at,
Not in this year's budget.
no, but I'm just bringing it up. So, yeah. I realize we don't have the money to pave all of Dogwood. That's, we're looking at, like we talked there, over $1 million or whatever. So, but, when a developer puts in an application to the village, they know what has to be done to finalize their process. So John Peterson, Ed Bruce, Sean Fowler, all had to pave the roads to finalize their subdivisions. In fact, John had to do it twice over there the first time wasn't passed because he got those, he had some dips in there, so it had to be all done up again. And that little bit of that land that she was offering there is not worth the, what she says that she wanted us to waive the paving requirement. So, and if it does go ahead and you can't just pave half that street like Pete talked about. You're going to develop that street, you got to pave the whole road width right away in front of her property there. You know, you do that whole strip, even though maybe the front part's going to be gravel and the back part has to be gravel, or if we're going to seal coat, but her strip in front of that subdivision should be pavement.
I believe it is. Both
Well,
lanes
it
in
was,
front, or just
was
east
only
side?
going to be that half of that.
Yeah.
What I look on that map there, it says only half of that road there. So, yeah.
Getting close to 2 minutes, sir.
Am I? Jeez, I didn't think I could talk that long. But that's just my thought on it. I don't know, and there's maybe a couple of other people here would like to say something, but it's just, you know, we'd like to see the development and everything else there, but I don't know how many developments she's brought to the town before, and I'm still waiting for the first one to go through. Anyway,
Well, for tonight, the council has opposed the waiving
Yeah.
of the paving.
but anyway, I'd like to thank Lori McNee and Trevor Pelche for help that they've helped me in the last couple of weeks.
Nice, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Other comments from the public on the items on the approved agenda?
Hi there, my name's Rob McLean. I live here in Valemount, fairly close to the intersection of Ash Street and what is you're hoping will be 13th Avenue, I guess, at one point. And yeah, the dust is really bad. Like, I know all of you are very concerned, to your credit, with what BC Hydro can do to alleviate the dust coming off the Kinbasket Reservoir. And when they tell you that they can't afford it or that it's going to cost too much money, none of you have taken no for an answer. You're pursuing that still. What are you going to do? Okay, you can't do this. What are you going to do? And like Junior said, there's got to be some sort of temporary solution to this. I know it's cost prohibitive for such a small development to pave that entire length of road. But there has to be something done. We're talking about our health and safety here. And if you want to put a dollar amount on that for this sort of piecemeal development where the developer comes in with a proposal and they can't afford to do what they're required to do, well, yeah, I mean, you do what you can to cut them some slack, eh? But like, where does it end? Do they suddenly say, well, we can't really afford to put in sewer and running water, so we're just going to have to build outhouses, and are we going to cave into them for that? Or like, where does it end, really? You know, and it's what comes off Kinbasket for us living on Ash and 13th there is nothing compared to what we experience after a couple of dry days. You can taste the dust in your mouth. And it reduces my quality of life. I can't use my backyard for what amounts to probably weeks over when you accumulative time of kids riding dirt bikes, people riding there, not just kids. It seems to be a racetrack for some people, back and forth, back and forth. And it seems to be a way for a lot of other people to get out of town. So not only do I have a lot of vehicular traffic, it's this sort of off-road vehicle stuff too, and it's not pleasant, and so there has to be some sort of a solution. And like Junior says, the small amount of land that she's willing to kick back to us in lieu of having to pave that section of road, it's minuscule, really. And yeah, I just look forward to seeing what your proposals are going to be as far as alleviating the dust, both on Ash and 13th. So yeah, that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Much. Still have time for further public comment? No takers? Thank you. We're not going to an in-camera meeting this evening, so I'll just ask for an adjournment. Councillor Pearson. Thank you.